Hello YouTube, welcome back to KLA Sports. I'm your host Kyle Alexander, and today we're going to continue with the free agency review series. So last episode we did the Green Bay Packers, and today we're going to pick up with the Minnesota Vikings, who finished second in the division. That's also how we're doing. We're going by division, and we're going by division rankings. So the Vikings are up next, as we all know the big move that they made. But before that, just want to remind everybody to try and stay safe during this coronavirus pandemic, or this coronavirus situation going on. Just remember to keep washing your hands. Try to touch your face, don't touch your face as much. Try to keep away from germy objects. Try and stay inside, and hopefully this will blow over before summer. Hopefully, maybe. But I just want to remind everybody stay safe. I hope everybody's doing well, and my condolences go out to anybody who's who's affected by the virus, who's sick or have passed away from it. So that's it. So we're gonna roll into the video. So I'll pop the additions and losses up right here. All right. So the Vikings, as you can see, lost a lot more players than they kept. So first, they kept safety Anthony Harris, who they used the franchise tag on. Like I said in my Eagles video, he has a nice vertical, has great instincts and coverage, and he's a leader in that secondary. So they keep that safety tandem together with Anthony Harris and Harrison Smith, who's I think is one of the more underrated safeties in the league, and Harrison Smith. They also brought in defensive tackle Michael Pierce from my Baltimore Ravens. He's a great and underrated run stopper. He's at that prime. He's in his prime age at 27, and he's not a great pass rusher, but he's a good run stop. He's a good run stuffer. Great at disrupting the run up the middle, and Vikings got a good run stuffer up in him. They got a good, nice disruptor up the middle from him. They also signed kicker Dan Bailey. Not much to say here. It's just Minnesota's been looking for kickers since Blair Walsh and that missed field goal he had against the Seattle Seahawks in the playoffs. So they kept Dan Bailey. And they also brought in wide receiver Tajae Sharp from the Tennessee Titans. That adds good. He has good depth to the wide receiver room. Last year he caught 25 passes to 35 passes, and he has an opportunity with Diggs out the picture. Now, a lot of people, people thought Tajae Sharp, before they had Corey Davis, could take the step up, because before when he was in Tennessee, it was him. It was like him. They didn't really have any other receivers, so he was one of the options to step up as a number one, number two receiver. Then they got Corey Davis and A.J. Brown, and now Adam Humphries, so they kind of took him out the picture. Now he's going to Minnesota, where they had one of the best receiving. They had the best receiving duo, in my opinion. But now Diggs is out because he wanted out, and now Tajae Sharp has that opportunity to either be an outside number two receiver, especially with Laquan Treadwell leaving too. Either that, or if they draft a receiver in the draft, he could be a slot. He could be like a number three or slot receiver. So Tajae Sharp, he has the opportunity there. Now losses is going to take a lot more. The first off, most notable loss is wide receiver Stephon Diggs, who went to Buffalo in the trade. They lost a great receiver, broke up the best receiving duo in the league. That was the key part of the offense, was the passing game and the passing and air game. Like Diggs and Thielen complement each other so well. And now you take one of the receivers out of the picture, you only have one receiver. You only have that one receiver. And they still got Kyle Rudolph and Irv Smith, but in today's league, this is a more pass heavy league where you need at least three receivers. But they got better in return than the Texans did with DeAndre Hopkins, because the Bills gave up the first round pick to the Vikings, so the Vikings were able to get a first rounder out of it, which is why I don't know why Houston wasn't able to get a first rounder out of Hopkins, because he's the best receiver in the league. But yeah. So this is a. I feel like this is one that it's a big loss, but it has a good reward behind it too. Like it was a huge loss, but they got a great return for it. Next up is they also lost defensive end Everson Griffin, who voided his contract. He is a great pass rusher, but he was older. He is 32, and that's a position they can get younger at, especially with the draft. Because the draft, the two heaviest positions is receiver and edge rusher. Even though you got Chase Young, AJ Epineza, Kayvon Chason, some other guys, and it's like after those got like the first round, it's like players started falling like third, fourth. But you got people like Curtis Weaver, who's like borderline, first, second. He's straddling the border. You even got players like Jonathan Grenard, who could be a second or third round pick from Florida, like Josh Uchi, Julian Aquara, like yeah, they can just get younger at that position. And yeah, Griffin, like that's a big loss, but you still got Danielle Hunter and the draft coming up, so you got two first rounders. So next up, they lost three corners. They pretty much lost their starting three corners. First, they lost cornerback Trey Waynes, who signed with the Bengals. He's a good veteran corner. He was a leader on that team, on that defense and the secondary. He was a key part on the defense too. They also lost Mackenzie Alexander to the Bengals, who was a young corner who could have been part of the future rebuild or the future plans. And they lost cornerback Xavier Rhodes, who they cut and who went to the Colts. Now Rhodes, he was just washed. He was not the same player from 2016. Now maybe in Indianapolis he can be like serviceable, but he just hasn't been that. He hasn't been the same. Gave up 81.5% completion percentage. He was becoming a cap casualty, and he had a PFF grade of 46.4. Now that's your three starting corners that they lost. And I think this move is saying that, or not move, but I feel like it is having them to trust Mike Hughes, that first round pick from like a couple years ago, from like a year or two ago. And then the draft coming up, so you got Christian Fulton, C.J. Henderson, Jeff Gladney, Trayvon Diggs. So just the fact that you lose your three starting corners, it's not ideal, but you gotta get younger there. You get younger there, and you definitely have to find a solution. You gotta find somebody else. You gotta find different solutions. Maybe a trade if somebody's on the market, but most likely a draft, since that's coming up in 9 days. But yeah, so Mackenzie Alexander and Trey Waynes, those were losses. Those were some big losses, but Xavier Rhodes, that needed to be done. They also lost defensive tackle Linval Joseph, who they cut and signed with the Chargers. Now he's 31, but he's a better pass rusher than Pierce. He gets more sacks. He's more of a pass rusher than Pierce is, he's more of a pass rusher than a run stopper. And he was an important part of that defensive line and that defensive front. But they get younger in Pierce, and he's even though he doesn't generate great pass rush like that, he disrupts the middle. They lost safety Andrew Sendejo, who went to the Browns. Now this one, I wouldn't say that's a big loss because there are better safeties out there, and the safety market isn't great. But I know that's kind of contradicting, but there are better safeties than him out there. But at the same time, the safety market isn't great. It's like safety value is usually the same as tight end. Like, yeah, safety and tight ends have the same market. There are like a couple great. They're like top 5, top 10. Maybe they're like top 5s, like couple elites, and then the rest are like average or below, or like all right. Like a tight end, you got the top 3 in Kittle, Kelsey, and Ertz. You got those 3. Then you got Austin Hooper, who's like working his way up. No, you got Mark Andrews and Austin Hooper, who's worked their way up in there. And then after that, then you got Hunter Henry too, who I think is an underrated tight end because of his injuries. But like after that, it's like, who do you really have? Like Tyler Eifert doesn't stay healthy. I know he was healthy this year, but he usually has an injury problem, and he's not the same. Jordan Reed he's been getting concussions every year. Like tight end market isn't that great. Safety market, you got Derwin James, Jamal Adams, I guess Devin McCourty, Harrison Smith, Earl Thomas, Justin Simmons. I know I'm forgetting one. I know I'm forgetting some, but like these are just names, and then the rest is usually like, all right, these are good, serviceable safeties, but then they're not like elite, top like creme de la creme, like those type of players. But I think Sandeo is replaceable, and it's like I said, a couple elite safeties, and the rest are good. And the draft's coming up, so they could like a lot of these since the off season, free agency is pretty much over. The draft is teams' last resort to get a position of need or for the future. So if they want to get a safety, they could get one in the later rounds who could be like a sub linebacker if that's what Sandeo, like a sub linebacker role, or just like the replacing Sandeo. And the last player they lost is wide receiver Laquan Treadwell. He signed with the Falcons. Now after they traded Diggs, they only had Thielen and Treadwell. Now Treadwell probably could have taken with that. Treadwell was probably going to be able to take the next step, but now he went to Atlanta where he's going to remain a wide receiver 3. So now they need depth and replacements, which they got into Jay Sharp. But yeah, that was an even worse blow to the Stephon Diggs trade. All right, so that's all their moves that they made. So this free agency wasn't that great. It wasn't ideal. So I give them a C. I give them a grade of a C. Actually, yeah, I'll say a C. They lost the top receiver in the passing game. They blew up the secondary, at least the corner positions. Like they lost their 3 starting corners, and now they have to rely on Mike Hughes, who we have to see if he has that potential or not. They got a defensive tackle replacement, and the only reason I won't say this is a C minus or a D is because they were able to get a first rounder out of Diggs. Now he's like unlike Houston, but they were able to get a first round pick, so now they have 2, or they're probably going to take most likely. What I would do and what I think they're going to do is take a receiver and a corner in the first rounds. They keep the safeties in the secondary. So in the draft, I could see them taking like a Denzel Mims, maybe Justin Jefferson if he's there, like Denzel Mims, Brandon Ayuk, and like a Jeff Gladney, AJ Terrell. Cause yeah, both of their picks are like late 20s because Buffalo's in the playoffs. So or like mid to late 20s. So yeah, they're definitely gonna go receiver or corner in the first round with their first 2 picks. All right, so that is it for this episode. Let me know in the comment section below if you think how you like what you would grade Minnesota's off season. What you think was their best move, their worst move, and who you think they'll take in the draft. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys next time.